Hello everyone, welcome to another week. Two sidrot for us this week, Chukat and Balak. And I've been thinking a lot over the last few weeks as the restrictions seem to ease a little bit and lockdown loosens. How do we move forwards and what's our attitude? And I'd say a couple of weeks ago I had something interesting that it's set my mind rolling, and I think it relates so much to one of our sidrot, one of the episodes that we can learn from this week. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was standing on our front driveway talking to one of my neighbours, and I was wearing my Liverpool top at the time. This was pre-winning the league. And I see further down the street, the DPD van starts making its way down. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, another delivery. What have we ordered this time? But he doesn't stop outside our house. He stops about 5 houses down the street. And I'm talking to our neighbour, and he's kind of getting on with his delivery. He's going into that house. And as he comes back to his van, he looks up and he sees me wearing my Liverpool shirt. And he comments, he says, "Oh, Mr. Levine, the 30-year wait is nearly over." And I was taken back. Not because he was commenting on Liverpool, but the fact that he knew my name. And, I don't believe I've really spoken to him before. I did recognise him. I've since learned his name is Gilbert. He's a wonderful guy. In fact, you might even know Gilbert. He might be delivering your DPD packages to you as well. But I realised that obviously, because he's delivered so much to us in the last few months, especially maybe with the bat mitzvah and lockdown and everything, that he started to get to know us. And then I was thinking about, actually, I do recognise most of the Amazon delivery guys by now, because they come here pretty much every day. We've become so reliant on them in this time, even before COVID, but especially now. And I was thinking, you know what? It's not just with me that I recognise the delivery drivers, but they're here because I can see what's going on. Even subconsciously, we notice our neighbours. This one's getting a delivery from Tesco's, this one's Morrison's, there's a package going here, package going there. And we become quite intimately attached to the people that we live nearby. And we start to think and to wonder, and what are they getting? I get another delivery, and what they're thinking about us, and that package here. And it all becomes a little bit incestuous. And something that strikes me from the parasha this week is that we know the story of Bilam and Balak, and they want to curse the Jewish people, and they stand on the mountain and they look out to the encampment, and instead of the curse that was supposed to come out of his mouth, what comes out? The blessings. God puts into his lips only goodness, brachot. And we know famous, there's even a song about it. We sing it when we're young children. Ma tovu alecha Yaakov mishkanot. How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, the places that you live. It's beautiful, it's fitting, it's the right way of living. And Rashi comments, and what do we know Rashi says? What is he commenting on? He's saying, listen, that actually the positioning of all the tents was set appropriately, that the openings of the tents didn't face each other. So when you come out of your tent in the morning, when you come out of your dwelling place in the morning, you're not doing so directly opposite your neighbour, your opposite neighbour. You don't see directly into their tent, they're staggered. So when you come out in the morning, you just see what's in between someone else's tent, which means you're not staring, you're not directly looking into your neighbour's tents. That's befitting of Am Yisrael. That's the ideal. That is social distancing at its very best. So I come to think, I do know what's going on with my neighbours, and I do have maybe a thought about all this or what they're buying there. And that can be the very best of community as well, not in those nosy parts, but the fact that we look after each other. If you see someone on your block, in your neighbourhoods, on your street, wherever you are in your block of flats, that they've had a baby, or they have a simcha, or God forbid, a bereavement, we just open our hearts and sometimes our homes when we have the ability to care for those people, to love and to give gifts or to give food or whatever it might be. That's the ideal of a community, of loving and supporting and showing that love and connection that we have with people. But when we start to know too much about our neighbour's business, or to be nosy, or to be intrusive into their lives, that's the very worst of community. And what we learn from the parasha this week is there's a sanctity within the privacy that we can try and maintain, not just within our own households, but how we relate to the households in our community, of our neighbours. So something like social distancing that we really see in our parasha this week, that is becoming eased over the next few weeks as we start going into shops and into places of work where it was 2 meters, we weren't going out at all, and then it was 2 meters, and now it's maybe down to 1 meter, whatever it might be. Let us hold on a little bit to the idea, the concept of what social distancing does for the very best reasons. Of course, people that need a hug, we want to be able to hug them as soon as we can and to show that love and support to people. And of course, we want people to be able to go back to work or come back to shul, and therefore we need to restrict the distances that people can be with each other. But the idea of the distancings that we have between the privacy and what should be kept private for ourselves, not to air our dirty laundry in the street, but also not to be nosy and not to be intrusive into the households of the people that live around us. So maybe we can take that lesson. Maybe we can hold on to a little bit of the social distancing as we enter into a new phase of what COVID-19 is showing us. But also that we can learn those important lessons and we can live what the ideal community should live like. Love and support each other the very, very best ways in which we can, but maintain a little bit of distance, a little bit of privacy, that the sanctity that we have in our own homes remains in our homes, in our hearts, remains solely a part of our business, so we can just let the goodness shine and be private in all the appropriate ways. So let's take that lesson of COVID-19. It's been very difficult to see all the positives with everything that's happened, but maybe there's one positive that we can share from this week's parasha. I wish you all a beautiful Shabbos.